comes down to it, the Xbox 360 is probably the system that is most synonymous with the early days of consoles connecting to the internet. And despite its renowned lack of success in the East, it's firmly in the top 10 most successful platforms of all time. But you can't have such a memorable experience without a few good games to back it up. Now, there's no way that you could narrow down the Xbox 360's library of smash hit multiplayer jams just to 10, right? Well, we've done it anyway, because I'm Si for WhatCulture.com, and these are the 10 best Xbox 360 multiplayer games ever. Number 10, Borderlands 2. Borderlands' irreverent sense of humour, eye-catching visuals, and interesting combination of FPS and RPG were a delicious concoction. The game takes just a surface scoop of the latter by including experience points and skills to build your character, as well as some sweet looting to go with that shooting. And as far as sequels go, Borderlands 2 was the poster child for quality of life changes. The first game's rather stunted AI was vastly improved, the main story was engaging, and the side quests also all felt important. Borderlands 2 had a truly captivating villain in Handsome Jack, and the playable characters themselves were way more fleshed out both in and out of combat. Even the visual design truly takes advantage of the cel-shaded graphics, where the first game tended to play it safe. Essentially, Borderlands 2 belongs in the pantheon of follow-ups like Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Mass Effect 2, and Assassin's Creed 2 that learned from their solid first outing and improved upon it in every conceivable way. What this all amounted to was a game that deserved your squatting up time with a group of gun-toting mates and rewarded you with the hours you put into it. Few game worlds at the time were as immersive and made you feel quite as accomplished as a group than Borderlands 2. Number 9, Castle Crashers. As previously stated, every entry on this list counts, but we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the Xbox 360's healthy catalogue of indies. In the first wave of titles of this era, there were a lot of great single-player games, Braid, Fez, Limbo, and then there was Castle Crashers. I personally love a classic 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up, and I try to talk about them as often as I can, so hit that subscribe button if you're a fan of that kind of content. And what was so great about Castle Crashers was that it managed to rekindle the nostalgic pull of the likes of Golden Axe and Turtles in Time with heartwarming sincerity. Also, being crafted by Newgrounds founders turned devs The Behemoth drew upon a charming, simplistic hand-drawn art style that threw back to memories of early internet flash animations. And simplistic also defined the gameplay. As the industry ploughed ever forward, Castle Crashers reminded us of a simpler time. Whether couch co-op or online, what kept gamers interested was the wealth of location variety, the goofy comedy, and the surprising addition to the formula of experience points that added just a touch of character investment. Sometimes you just want to hang out with some buddies and wallop baddies together. Castle Crashers. No fuss, no muss. Number 8, Gears of War 2. Gears of War 2 blew the fledgling shooter IP wide open, turning the adventures of Marcus Phoenix and company into one of Microsoft's most prized properties. After dusting off an incredible campaign, the online mode awaited. Improving on the already solid foundations of Gears 1, the sequel introduced leaderboards, new modes, a roster of 11 maps, and the ability to play as the Locust. Whilst its PvP was no slouch, what made Gears of War 2 stand out was its excellent PvE, adding a touch of variety to any gamer's library. Nobody was doing co-op shooting quite like the COG. Mwah! Gears 2 introduced the Horde mode, where players faced waves of enemies together trying to survive until the end. Later titles improved on this, of course, but Gears 2 set the standard that other franchises would carbon copy. More than this, of course, players could jump into the campaign with a buddy. Not only did Gears 2 add a welcome normal difficulty between casual and hardcore, it allowed players to make their own choices despite playing together, and the game tailored the challenge respectively. Gears 2 won plenty of awards, including Spike TV's Best Xbox 360 game of 2008, and the multiplayer is certainly a reason why. Number 7, Rock Band 2. Because of the worldwide appeal and easy to understand nature of timed button pushes set to classic rock songs, Rock Band's full bandbox might be the most successful one-purpose peripheral ever. Other than just introducing drums and vocals to the formula associated with Guitar Hero, Rock Band grew the genre's online scope. Players could connect to Xbox Live and all play the same song together from different rooms around the world, which was pretty special spectacular as a concept. However, it also went to show that some things are better done in person. There was an undeniable social aspect to Rock Band and Guitar Hero, especially as it now included karaoke via the USB microphone. This made it a centerpiece of house parties in 2008 and 2009. Whilst Rock Band 2 wasn't a big departure from the first, it had a more varied set list of on-the-disc songs, the ability to move music from Rock Band 1 to 2, and access to the already busy DLC song store. The character customization suite was deeper, and the more expansive tour mode invited wannabe rock stars to play their hearts out all over the electronic map. All from the comfort of your own living room, much to the chagrin of your neighbours perhaps. Number 6. Street Fighter 4. Online gaming's advantages are numerous. Not only do you have access to players all over the world looking for others to game with, you can populate an experience with dozens of them. Not all games need this, however. Sometimes it can all be about going mano-y-mano. How could we possibly talk about multiplayer without mentioning the fighting game genre? And that being the case, how could it be anything other than Street Fighter 4? Capcom's fighting franchise was on top of the world in the early 90s, but by the end of the same decade had plummeted in popularity thanks in part to countless revisions. By the time Street Fighter 4 finally came around, fans were hungry for a new title. Best of all, the developers had achieved the perfect synergy between retaining classic Street Fighter spirit and clicking into place new elements, as perfectly demonstrated by the Super and Ultra special move bars. A roster of memorable characters all beautifully realised and rendered in a gorgeous unique art style really put Street Fighter back on the map, but what kept players coming back was the depth of the fighting engine. Whether it was online or in person with a friend on a Friday night, down the local arcades or in professional tournaments, Street Fighter 4 held its own and is responsible for rejuvenating the genre. Number 5. Left 4 Dead. Zombie survival as a concept, or a genre if you see it that way, is tired. Like very tired. Like poke it with a stick to see if it's still breathing kind of tired. But there's a reason these kinds of games are so popular. The many standout titles that fit into this niche are all great in their own right, but Left 4 Dead was an undeniable moment in the Xbox 360's history. Until this point, multiplayer focus had been largely competitive. Left 4 Dead was not only a brilliant cooperative experience, it was entirely designed with that in mind. Playing with bots was fine, but there was nothing quite like surviving alongside friends, that fright that you all shared in that turned to excitement, creeping through something like dead air and coming across a dreaded witch. 5 scenarios and 4 characters sounds like a minimal amount of content, but what made Left 4 Dead so entertaining was how varied it could be. The incredible director AI measured players' stress levels, spawning enemies and then relaxing at different times and places, making every playthrough feel unique. These became stories told amongst friends that, more often than not, led to booting the game back up to do it all again. Number 4. Minecraft. There isn't much of an argument to be made that Minecraft isn't best played on PC. However, the Xbox 360 version of the block building sandbox game is hugely important for several reasons. In 2014, Microsoft agreed to a $2 billion deal to buy Mojang and the rights to Minecraft. 2 years later, the player base for the game had doubled. As the single most successful video game of all time, this business decision had an immense effect on Minecraft's popularity. After all, most young gamers start out on a home console of some kind rather than a PC, and the Xbox 360 had exclusive rights to Minecraft until the time Microsoft decided otherwise. Taking the Java Edition's UI and masterfully making it comfortable with a controller, the game also broke down barriers by simplifying the crafting system and introducing a unique tutorial. The Xbox 360 version included split screenplay as well as online worlds. Since Minecraft is all about cooperation and invention, it saw parents find something to connect with their children over. Leaving their kid to explore solo, they could be assured it was a largely peaceful form of entertainment compared to many other video games. Unless someone griefed you by setting fire to your house, then it was all out war. Number 3. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. In 2007, gaming was truly changed forever with the arrival of Halo 3, Team Fortress 2 and Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare all within a calendar year. Xbox Live was all anyone could talk about and the FPS genre was dominating the industry. But when it comes to Call of Duty, there may be no finer hour than Modern Warfare's 2009 sequel. It cannot be overstated how huge Modern Warfare 2 was, not only breaking sales records as the biggest entertainment property to that point, but raking in over $1 billion in less than 3 months. Simply, Modern Warfare 2 was a turning point for the series and the genre. Never before had a shooter been so perfectly balanced. Every weapon and piece of equipment was unique enough to be viable, and combining these with the extensive perk system made investing your time into the the game a reward in itself. More than this, it was balls to the walls action. High Time to Kill invited a certain amount of hilarious mayhem for casual players. For the more hardcore gamer, this meant precision and high skill play were crucial. Thus began the era of sick highlight videos and 360 no-scopes. With that variety of approach and some of the best maps in the series, it's no surprise that Modern Warfare 2 is still the high bar for the franchise. Number 2. GTA Online. During the early days of the Xbox 360, the FPS ruled the roost. By the end of the console's lifespan, things had changed. Nobody could have quite anticipated the profound popularity of a role-playing game on the system. Because if we're being facetious, that's what GTA Online is. Thousands of people playing a never-ending game of cops and robbers. In all seriousness, it was a no-brainer that an online Grand Theft Auto was going to make bank if done correctly. Create your protagonist, head out into Los Santos and cause chaos with friends and strangers. Thankfully, that's what Rockstar did, and they never stopped adding content to it. Because players are still spending money on its online portion, GTA 5 continues to routinely appear in sales charts even 9 years later. Even if the Xbox 360 version servers are now shut, players kept looting and racing until the last moment and moved with the game onto both Xbox One and Xbox Series X. With its own unfolding narrative, series of exciting heist missions and creator tools to design your own content, GTA 5 is rightfully one of the 360's biggest sellers. After all, it included 2 gigantic games, and one was perhaps the most addictive online experience ever made. And number 1, Halo 3. Quite simply, without Halo as a launch title, then the original Xbox would have likely failed. This revolutionary must-have FPS kicked off Microsoft's biggest franchise. Its sequel was the flag in the ground for video game consoles connecting to the deep waters of online play, and so Halo 3 was the moment of unification for the Xbox 360. If you had this console, this game, and a gold account, then you felt like you were in the IT crowd. Halo 3 was bursting at the seams with content that kept gamers' headsets firmly on for hours at a time. Players could jump into bustling social or ranked playlists as suited their style, and in a stroke of genius, party up with others that they clicked with. The game modes were perhaps the cherry on top because of how they intersected with maps. Stages were deliberately built around objective types, standard rounds of Slayer, or big team battle. More than this, Bungie embraced creativity. Halo 3's Forge mode opened the floodgates to map and game type creation, several of which were popular enough to find themselves elevated to official status. This willingness to embrace its audience took Halo from being a game you played with a few friends into a huge worldwide community. Not only is Halo 3 still the blueprints for which every game in the series has tried to follow, it's responsible for shaping how people connect and play together around the world. As I said before, Halo 3 released in a stacked year, but what are the best gaming years? Check out this video on screen now where we count down the top 15. Other than that, thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment down below about your favourite Xbox 360 multiplayer experiences. You can head over to WhatCulture.com for more content every day. I've been Si for WhatCulture, and have a good week.